Sleeper hitters and two-star pitchers for Week 8 up next on Fantasy Baseball Today Express. Welcome into FBT Express on Friday, May 9th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White. Let's preview Week 8, beginning with the schedule. We have 26 teams with 6 games next week and 4 teams with 7. The Rangers, Nationals, Astros, and Braves. What about the Rockies? 6 games on the road, so stay away. Starter sit these two-star pitchers. Shane Baz, Scott, has been struggling. He's at the Blue Jays and at the Marlins.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to say sit him, but with 2 starts and especially those 2 starts, I think Baz is still pretty close to an automatic start.
Merrill Kelly is at the Giants and home against the Rockies.
He's been great lately. I don't think it's always going to be that way, but those matchups are good enough, especially that Rockies start. I mean, the Rockies have the lowest scoring team in baseball, and that's even playing half their games at Coors Field. So when they're on the road, it's almost like a free space. Start Merrill Kelly.
Well, Tyler Mahle also gets the Rockies and the Astros.
Same thing, yeah. And the Astros aren't such a bad matchup either.
No, you're on Alvarez right now. Well, he might be back next week, I guess.
Yeah, but even they weren't doing so hot even with him because he wasn't doing so hot, I guess. They're going to get better, but right now they're a fine matchup for Tyler Mahle, who has some reasons for concern. The whiffs and strikeouts have been plummeting, but with those 2 matchups, I think you roll them out there.
What about Yusei Kikuchi, who has some tough matchups at the Padres, at the Dodgers?
Yeah, I saw positive signs in his last start. His velocity was back to 2024 levels, and I think it was his best start of the season. But such tough matchups, I think you leave Yusei Kikuchi for points leagues.
David Peterson home against the Pirates and at the Yankees. So 1 good, 1 bad.
I think he's startable in points leagues. At least his high ground ball rate should help to mitigate the damage in that Yankees start.
Chad Patrick at the Guardians, home against the Twins.
12% rostered. A lot of people listening may not have even heard of Chad Patrick, but he's been solid this year. And he's gone, I think he went 6+ innings in his last start. He's done that more than I thought. So, okay matchups here. I think Chad Patrick is usable in points leagues.
What about Jack Leiter, who's been pretty bad since coming back from the IL? He gets the Rockies and the Astros.
Yeah, those same matchups as Tyler Mahle, but just no positive signs from Jack Leiter since returning from the IL. I think you have to sit him.
Any of Tanner Houck, Jake Irvin, Ben Lively, or Jeffrey Springs?
Nope, and no.
All right. Who are the 2-star pitchers that you are looking to add and stream for next week?
Michael Wacha, numero uno, at Houston versus St. Louis. But really, this is all about Wacha himself. 3 straight quality starts, got that ERA around 3, that whip around 115. They're pretty much always there. So I think you pick him up for the 2-star week and maybe you just hold on to Michael Wacha thereafter. Matthew Liberatore is off to a great start. He's been an elite strike thrower. He's been such a good strike thrower. I am a little skeptical it can continue, but he's obviously pitching well now. At Philadelphia, tough first matchup, but then he gets Kansas City in the second start. So I think Liberatore is fine to use. Grant Holmes gets the Nationals and Red Sox. The whiffs have been trending up on his slider especially. Been shaky with the control, and so the overall results hit or miss. But hopefully in a 2-star week, Grant Holmes can give you upwards of 12 strikeouts. Colin Ray, the ultimate sleeper here, because it's about a 2.40 ERA overall. He's not that good, obviously. He's going to finish with an ERA over 4. But the ERA should be good this week because his matchups are the Marlins and the White Sox. Hard to get much better than that. So Colin Ray is a good pickup. Hayden Wesneski gets the Royals and the Rangers, which you may be surprised to learn are both are in the bottom 20% in scoring this year, Royals and Rangers. Wesneski's slowed down, but at least in points leagues, he's fine for taking advantage of those matchups. Justin Verlander gets the Diamondbacks and Athletics, which aren't the greatest matchups, but he held his own against the Cubs last time out, which is the toughest matchup of all, and his previous 3 starts were very good. So I think Verlander's going well enough. The 2-star week, You can use him in points leagues. And finally, Clark Schmidt at Seattle versus the Mets. Tough matchups for him too. But he's been looking decent of late. Better than a 45% whiff rate on 2 of his pitches. Points leagues might be worth the roll of the dice.
All right, let's take a break, and we'll be back right after this.
The clock never stops. Relive the greatest moments with uninterrupted highlights and more.
It's Gareth Bale! Ronaldo! Wonderful goal!
On the UEFA Champions League channel. Streaming free.
Welcome back in FBT Express. We left off with 2-star pitchers. Scott, what about 1-star streamers for next week?
So, got 3 of those. Matthew Boyd against the White Sox. Love that for him. Nick Martinez also gets the White Sox. Less confident in him, but we'll see how his start over the weekend goes because in his previous start, he got back to throwing strikes at a high rate, got back to missing bats with his changeup. Those were the 2 keys to his breakout last year, and he showed signs of doing it again. If it continues over the weekend, then I think that White Sox matchup will be one you want to take advantage of for Nick Martinez. And then finally, AJ Smith-Shawver. He also has a start coming up over the weekend, trying to follow up that 8 one-hit innings that he threw last time, those 8 one-hit innings. And he's got the Pirates over the weekend. So if he comes through against the Pirates, next week he's looking at the Nationals, and I think AJ Smith-Shawver will be a fine choice then.
All right, let's slide over to the hitters with the best matchups: Braves, Cubs, Reds, Tigers, and Nationals. The worst hitter matchups for next week: Cardinals, Pirates, Angels, Red Sox, and Mariners. Scott, who are your sleeper hitters for week 8?
My favorite one, Jonathan Aranda, who just has had the misfortune of his team facing a lot of lefties the past couple weeks. And so that's why his roster rate has fallen to the point I can mention him here. But 0 lefties on the schedule for the Rays this upcoming week, and still batting about .333 with an OPS around 950. Got to take advantage of that righty-loaded schedule for Aranda. TJ Friedl, leadoff hitter, base stealer extraordinaire. Just hit 2 home runs in Atlanta, and now he's going back home for a full week of games in a great American small park. I think he's under-rostered to begin with the Reds having the 3rd best matchups. Gotta give TJ Friedl another look. Nate Lowe is on one of the 4 teams with 7 games and only 1 lefty on the schedule. Lowe's crushed righties this year. Kyle Stowers has slowed down since his walk-off grand slam, but the underlying numbers are still strong apart from the strikeout rate. And no lefties on the schedule for the Marlins. Pretty good matchups. I think you stick with Stowers. Andy Pages is creeping up the Dodgers lineup, which we like to see. Headed back home for a full week of games. 328 hitter at home this year is Pages. So good time to use him. Rhys Hoskins has an OPS around 1,000 in his last 20 games. And he's started 14 straight heading into the weekend. Remember, at one point we were worried about his playing time. Doesn't seem to be an issue anymore. Josh Smith has taken over as the Rangers' leadoff hitter, playing all over the field, hitting a lot of line drives, walking, doing good things. They're one of the 4 teams playing 7 games. I think at one of the several positions he's eligible, you could look into Josh Smith. Lourdes Gurriel got off to a dreadful start this year, but the expected stats always look great, and he's picking it up. Like the Diamondbacks matchups, good time to buy into Gurriel again. Javier Baez has been hot. I don't buy it. Weak exit velocities, horrible plate discipline, but he's been hot for long enough that we can hope it continues with the 4th best hitter matchups this week. And finally, Gavin Lux, Reds, 3rd best hitter matchups again at home. But more importantly, in Lux's case, 6 games against righties, and he's hit righties at about a 350 clip this year.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today Express, and we will be back again next week. Bye-bye.